welcome back to another Matthew Vargas art and design tutorial where today I will be teaching you how to draw and shade a realistic face. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on any tutorials like this. So we're going to jump right into it. So I start with a circle. I draw a smaller circle underneath that big circle for where the jaw will go, and then we'll draw a cross over those circles for where the nose, the eyes, and the mouth will go. We'll just draw along that cross. The eyebrows frame the face, so those are the first two features on the face that I punch in, and then we'll just kind of work south, and we'll draw then the eyes, the nose, line work for where the mouth will go, and then we'll draw the face, the hair, the hat. I start in the center of a portrait and then kind of build out, but I don't spend too long adding in details or shading. So for shading, I draw in a block for where the shading will go, then we'll draw in diagonal lines. It doesn't need to be perfect. Sometimes I use my finger, but it's better to use Q-tip. So advice to just use a Q-tip. It's the cheapest way to add in shading. The biggest thing to do now is just block out where the shading will go. You can cross hatch it, you can draw shapes where the shading will go. Just need to kind of map out the features, and the shading is the biggest thing I suggest. And just will cross hatch, not getting lost in the sauce with refinement and making it super realistic from the jump, just trying to kind of block out things loosely because I have a long way to go with the hat and the hair and then the chest, so just don't want to spend too long in one area. It's all about layering, so you add a little bit of that 2B graphite pencil, you go back in with the Q-tip and buffer it in, go back with the pencil, buffer it in, and then you just go back and forth until you get to the level of darkness that you want. You draw a little heavier if you want to go darker, a little lighter with your hand if you want to just go lighter. I'm using the HB pencil here and just shading in the hat. And I like to just draw my shading in diagonally, as I said before. I think it just kind of creates a continuity that's really nice. And then just with the wrinkles in the hat, just kind of roughly blocking in the shapes of the wrinkles. There's some V's, like the letter V's of wrinkles in the hat that I just kind of draw in. We'll go back in with my 2B and we'll just buffer in some shading with my Q-tip. The hat in this drawing to me was the trickiest because I wanted it to feel like fabric and wrinkle in the right places and shine and have darkness in the right spots. So it was a lot of back and forth with the hat, and that's why with portraits, I like to work on the hardest parts of a drawing first, and I knew that I was not looking forward to this hat. My favorite areas of drawing a portrait are the face, are the eyes, the makeup, the shading, the lips, the sexier parts of a portrait that convey the most emotion are my favorite parts to draw, but knew that this hat needed to get done and was the hardest part, so wanted to tackle that first. And that's what I advise just in life, if anything. It's the hardest stuff you need to get done first, and then the things that you can get done quickly, like in 2 minutes, you just do. You do that even first, but anyway. Just going to be refining a little bit more here. When I was in art college, my teachers wanted me to kind of rotate and work in a 360. In a 360, just wanted to kind of go back and forth from like the chest to the clothes to the shoulders to the eyes to the mouth, never committing to one area, never refining. But with this, because I knew the hat again was something that would be a little bit more of a challenge and required more refinement, was something I focused on first. But if you're an art student or have taken a drawing class, would have heard from your professors that you need to kind of work on every area and build up across the board gradually in every feature, not just one area. But I'm breaking all those rules because I ain't got no rules. It's subjective and you got to do what works for you. So this is when we get into the fun part, and I'm taking my 2B pencil, and I'm always going back, and you can't see this on the frame, but always going back to sharpen that 2B pencil, and I'm adding in the eyes and in the features of the pupils and the makeup and the lashes, you know, just making sure that area has the most detail, because that's where I want your eye to look. Wherever has the most detail is wherever your eye is going to go to first. So the eyes, of course, are where I want you looking. I'm bringing in that charcoal pencil for the darkest areas, which are along the brim of the hat where it meets the forehead. I'm going to use it sparingly. I don't want it used absolutely everywhere. You know, drawing it in the mouth cracks and just... It's good to create shapes out of highlights too. You know how you can see in the mouth how I've left vertical lines for where the highlights and the lips will go. Didn't want to shade into that, so kind of faintly drew where the highlights would go. So I'm drawing in the hair now, starting with the charcoal, because you know the hair is so dark. This beautiful model has dark black hair, and so thought, well, why not? Let's just start with the charcoal pencil. And I went to get more refinement so you can see the individual strands with the 2B graphite pencil. Adding in the shirt straps. And you can see exactly there, which is a perfect example of me kind of drawing in that shadow, and then within that shadow just buffering more. I use my eraser a lot. I draw with my eraser. It's really important that you see your eraser as a drawing utensil, because you need to erase into your drawing to leave highlights and to lift some of the darkness off that you added too much for. So it's absolutely a drawing utensil in itself. Going back into the eyes, just taking that charcoal pencil because we're at the last stages and just want to make the areas that I want your eye to go to the darkest. Just leaving the HB pencil out and just only using the 2B and the charcoal pencil for what I want you to focus on. There's a shading utensil that I use to draw in the shoulders and the line work overall along the hat, because you don't want to draw a harsh outline of where the shoulders are and where the hat is, because you want it to go back in space. You want it to feel rounded. You don't want a harsh line, because the shoulders and hat that kind of roll back in space, you want to feel soft. So I'm using a certain blending tool that I'm going to drop below in the description. And I'm using the Q-tip for where the collarbone and the neck is going. Just shading, shading, shading. And here's the final. I hope this video helped. Please comment below with any questions. Would be happy to recap anything for you. And I believe in you. Draw on, and stay tuned for the next one.